Well,
Welcome back to episode two.
yeah, episode two. No one got episode one except you and me.
Yeah,
So, man, I'm thrilled you're here. I apologize about what happened the first time. There, for whatever reason, it didn't record any audio, and and I actually watched it. I actually watched a whole bunch of it, even though with no audio, because the interaction between you and me was killer. I thought we had so much fun
yeah.
doing it, and so I know we're gonna have fun again today. And uh, I have done no podcasts since doing the one with you that we got no audio, and I don't know. I just feel like God has talked to me about He wants me to do more of this, get people's story, and so and and I love your story, and your story's changed
We
since.
added some more to it. Yep.
Yes. And so I'm super excited to hear about that piece of it because you have had a significant change since the last time we did this.
In the
So,
last 60 days.
yes.
Yep.
And and God just keeps working in your life in just amazing, amazing ways. And I've met another friend of yours since then that I just feel a connection to this guy. I know that he needs dudes and he needs you and needs God and he's seeking. And so super cool.
Yep.
Super cool.
Well,
So
that's another change in my life too, is this reaching out and pulling people in
yeah.
aspect. That's probably
Yeah.
the first major one that's been I need to draw this person in that was not a pattern in my life before.
And you've already
Drawing
impact.
people
I want you
closer.
to know in the meeting I had with him, you had a huge impact on him. Massive.
Yeah.
So that's so cool.
News to me, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So really cool.
Yeah.
So you know what? I don't even know where to start. Do you have a place where you want to start with this? I mean, let's go back to kind of uh, kind of pre knowing Jesus and share that part of your story because that's really cool, and it led you up to this just an amazing point in your life where God just took you down a different path.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Uh, we'll run it back chronological, and you can
Yeah.
just cut in whenever you want. But uh, mom had me way too early. Got pregnant 15, 16. Not in a place in life that she was gonna probably be a good mom at that point, which I can appreciate. We've had men in our group that have talked about their first child's and being at a point in their life that it's not a good time, and they do the best thing they can, which is sometimes let them go be
Yeah.
with another family or something. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, mom had me way too early. Dad checked out from the minute I was born. Sounds like some of this is stories over time that I've heard from my grandparents or
Yeah.
whatnot. But at some point in my very very early childhood, started living with my grandparents, and looking back now, that was the best thing that could ever happen. That was the best scenario. Pair of people that could have raised me.
I want to hear about your grandparents,
Yeah,
man. I just think there's just something that resonates with me so strong. Having loving grandparents raising a grandchild as their own kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah. And I think you've talked about it a little bit on with some other guests that the connection you have with your grandson, and
Yeah.
speaking as a child raised by grandparents, that's an impact I would not take for granted. And you may not know about it. I never got to express to them before they passed to what level of impact being able to be raised by them for the period of time I was. Wish I had. Uh, but that you're probably getting more, you're doing more impact to him than you may ever know or hear from him, but I think you're hearing it from him, from what I've heard. So, um, yeah. So dad was out of the picture pretty quick. I mean, I think it sounds like he was around for maybe a couple years, and that I was with my mom for a couple years. I don't have the clearest picture of that kind of infancy to toddler age, but I know toddler on, I was raised by my grandparents. Um, Christian household. Grandma was the religious, going to church, every Sunday. Got me into youth groups or Sunday schools and all the stuff. And so as a kid, I don't know to what level we are believing. I think that's probably more of a developmental in your teenage years is where people who fully go in, and if they don't, they don't. And
Right.
Mom and dad always made me go to Sunday school, so now I'm gonna rebel and not go, when I'm in high school or whatever. But I did the Sunday school and church services and stuff. But I don't remember really when I got baptized. I can remember getting baptized and all
How
that.
old?
Just as a kid, I don't have a good.
Okay.
I'm really bad with timelines of like.
Yeah.
I go through this with my therapist of like, hey, what ages, what years? Like, when I was a kid. But young. I mean, young. But
Yeah.
I remember it happening in front of everybody. They had a baptism bath on the stage, corner of the stage. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay. So I'm sorry, but have you been baptized as an adult?
no. So that was actually my second baptism. I was baptized at birth
Yeah.
or infant,
Sure.
and that was my second one. I have since looked into it, and whether it kind of seems like in the denomination we're in, that's a choice you can make if you feel like
Yeah.
there's a kind of a rebirthing situation, which there certainly has been. So I've considered it.
I'll gladly baptize
I
you.
bet you would. I bet you would. I have actually already pictured what it would look like a dude's baptism
Yeah.
in the Puget Sound. Like
Yeah.
it's gone through my head. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
But yeah, like church faith, then like believed there was a God, but that's kind of where that ended. There's a God. There's something bigger. Can't just be as simple as the Big Bang. There'd be Big Bangs all over the place.
Right.
And so, but didn't study, didn't read, didn't anything. Sunday school. All right, we're back home. I'm back on the video games type thing. Mom was in and out, not living with her, but she was in and out, and I just looked at everything as grandparents are my parents. Yeah, that's my mom. Love her. But these are my parents.
Yeah.
And so that went till 10, 11, 12. And my mom met a guy who wound up being my stepdad, who's not the greatest guy. I'd go to weekends or like his side of the family's Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever's. And so I had some interactions still living with my grandparents though. And hopefully she's cool with me sharing these things, but I'm going to anyway. She showed up at my grandparents' one New Year's and had got the hell beat out of her by him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like instantly made a decision, had some clarity at 10, 11, 12, whatever age that was. I don't like that guy. He's never going to be my dad. Hopefully she leaves, but that guy's dead to me. And I already had that with my biological dad too, that like when I was old enough to understand that he had left and not want anything to do with me, that's fine. He can go live his life and be happy, and I'm happy. I have my grandpa, dad, everything. It's all good. I wasn't upset about it. I've never, even to this day, been upset about that situation. I think it's for the best.
Absolutely.
I turned out good.
Yeah.
It's probably better that some 16-year-olds weren't weren't trying to raise a baby
Right. Yeah.
in the lifestyle that they were living. And my
And God
mom,
was watching out for
yeah,
you, right?
yeah, my mom had some addiction issues in that phase of her life, and I don't know what he did, but I got the best end of the deal. So, so I'm all good. I got no hard feelings towards him. But there
Yeah.
was also a time when I was pretty young, elementary school, that I came home from school one day and my grandparents said, "Hey, Tim, your dad called. He wants to call you and wish you happy birthday tonight. We told him we would ask you. If it's okay, we'll let him know he can call later tonight, after dinner or whatever." And I said, "Okay, sounds good. Let's, you know, I'll take a phone call."
Sure.
But I'm pretty young. I feel like I was very mature for my age at that point.
You probably were because, again, you're being raised by very mature
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And my grandma was a school teacher for, I think she retired at 35 years.
So she related to young people.
She was back in the good old days when you could still crack somebody on the back of the hand or.
So did that happen? Did that happen?
I'm sure that happened. Yeah. But I was going to
Yeah,
school.
that's good.
I was going to school with her.
Yeah.
In like older elementary classes.
Oh, really?
Before I was in school. So I was very advanced through school. I mean, I was
Yeah.
cursive writing before I, was in grade school and everything. So like, cool. But anyway, dad is supposed to call, never calls that night, whatever reason. And that was my, okay, that guy's dead to me, metaphorically. He can go on, live his best life, and I'm living my best life over here, but to me, that was a choice being made, and I don't know what the reason was. I'll probably never know what the reason was that he didn't make that phone call, but that was a sign to me that he didn't want anything to do with me, and he'd already, frankly, made that decision, at birth. And sure, you're an immature 16, 17, 18-year-old. I don't know how old he was. I think he was a little older, but that's two strikes. Like,
Sure.
I'm sure there's some game where two strikes is out. So in my game, you're out. But this incident happens with my mom, and I don't think they were married yet, but that was my decision of that's not going to be my parental figure. I don't know what is going to happen long term, but she ends up forgiving him, marrying him, whatever. They get married. At I think about 7th grade, I started to have some behavioral issues. And my grandparents were in their 60s by then. And so they were like, all right, well, your mom is established, married, house. He had 2 daughters that he brought to the relationship. Probably time you go live with your mom again. All right, that makes sense. You're old. I'm a handful. I'm, about to hit teenagers and however old you are, 7th grade.
Yeah.
That's another thing I'm not good at pinning is like if somebody tells me how old they are or what grade they're in, like I have no idea what the opposite end of that is.
Yes, 7th grade, you're early teenage.
Like if you're 17, 18, you're a senior in high school. That's all I know.
Exactly.
And if you're 5 or 6, you're starting school. That's about somewhere in between. You're somewhere in between. So go live with them, and that was pretty poor.
Because you're probably used to a really great environment.
Yeah.
Now you're going to probably somewhat of a dysfunctional.
Yeah. My grandparents' relationship was if you wrote out kind of the perfect parental relationship, like there were gender roles, they both worked, but grandpa was the provider, whether that was financially, food, hunting, fishing, the leader of the family. Like there were very defined gender roles that set things in me that led to some things down the road. Grandma was the caregiver, nurturer, raised the kids, made the meals, did the household stuff. And grandpa did stuff, not to say like
sure, but
he just did this,
yeah,
and she just did this, but
the roles were pretty well defined.
You had a clear view of who's responsible for what things, what do they bring to the relationship, what do they bring to the relationship together. Like I had the best recording in my brain of this is what a relationship would look like. which will be very confusing when we get to my 20s and the
Sure.
relationships I had. Um, so then I go to this very dysfunctional household of my mom and stepdad. Um, I think through my time, I ended up living with them from through 12th grade after I graduated. And just a lot of, I don't know how much physical abuse there was. There wasn't a lot towards me. They ended up having a daughter together who'd be my half sister, who's 10 years younger than me. And it was pretty much just the two of us in the house. His daughters would come every other weekend or whatever. I didn't witness a lot of physical abuse other than, like, if you're pissing him off, he'd grab you by the backpack strap and, we'll toss around, whatever. But I didn't get hit. I never saw my sister get hit. I don't know what happened between my mom and stepdad between this very obvious physical abuse and the end of the relationship. But it wouldn't shock me if there was more there. But there was a lot of emotional, mental abuse the whole time. Just so much yelling. So much yelling. You like never really appreciate a quiet house until you're like in that environment. And it's like I equate it to, in my 20s I had two Weimaraners that would just bark at anything and they would boom through the house.
Like Gracie.
And then you go and dog board them for a couple days and you go on vacation and you come back and you're like, all right, well, we don't pick them up till the morning. And then you just sit in silence. And that's how the house was. It was just constant.
Wow.
A lot of loudness, a lot of degrading and you get older and you figure out, stepdad got discharged from the Air Force, I think because of that domestic violence incident. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what's in my brain. But he had some back issues, was abusing opioids, was an alcoholic, very bad at hiding it too. Like, I know what a Jack Daniels bottle is, and I know every time you go in the kitchen and move the microwave because you're keeping the Jack Daniels behind the microwave. Like, I'm not an idiot. Now, I didn't have an understanding of what alcoholism was, so
right.
I didn't really know that was a problem. I just knew he was drinking, and I guess he just didn't want the kids to see he was drinking. That's kind of, as I grew up, that's what I was, yeah. But then you look back at it 10 years later, and you're like, oh, I mean, he was, messed up most of the time, and that's why all that anger came out all the time and whatever issues he had going on, and you just get the brunt of it. So, very unhappy life from 7th to 12th grade. And I wasn't a popular kid at school. I was on the outskirt fringe groups of, whatever. And just wasn't, I bounced around schools a couple times due to a couple different issues. And then wound up, just in University Place School District once I moved in with them, and couldn't find a place, just didn't find my friend group. But, you have a couple friends, but you don't have the group of people or whatever that, And during this time, what's going on with Faith? I got Wednesday youth group and I got Sunday service. And Grandma's willing to pick me up from the house because the church was actually closer to my house than her house.
And that was an escape, right?
And that was my escape out of the house. So Sundays especially, hey, if you go to service with me, then you can come back to the house and be there all day, play on the computer, eat Hot Pockets, We weren't well off either. Like, my parents were not well off or responsible with their finances at all. So, getting to go and have whatever Costco, I'd go through a dozen Costco microwave pizzas in a Sunday, and they would just keep the freezer full for me. And so that Sunday was my escape. So then again, I'm still in a mindset of, I believe there's God, there's that something above.
Yeah.
And then it just stops right there. There's no practice. There's no
there's no fruit, right? There's no grasping of really how that turns into reality. Yeah. And I totally relate to that kind of thing. Yeah.
So Sundays were, I'll go to church if it means I can go spend another 8 hours not in this house.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in high school. Things suck at home. I try to not be home when I can, but I'm walking distance from the school, so there's like can't really. There's there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
Um, I finally find my clique at the school, and it winds up being the drama department of all things. I was a very skinny, tiny high school kid, so like sports were not. I wanted to play high school football so bad. My grandparents vetoed it. You're too small. You'll die. Somebody will snap your back in half. And so like
So just to relate, I wanted to play football so badly in high school, and I was born with a cataract in one eye. I couldn't see. My mom like vetoed it. Like, no way.
take the blind side.
Yeah, right. She's like, no way you're gonna. And it just was like crushing to me that I could play football. I wanted to play football so badly.
That was what like my grandpa and I would watch Mariners and Seahawks, and he did this hilarious thing that I actually caught myself doing years later. Was he hated national broadcasters, so he'd have a Seahawks game on, and then he'd have 7:10 a.m. radio turned up.
Local.
Steve Rabel.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
The same thing with the Mariners. Game would be on. Gotta shut the heck up, you bunch of dumbasses. And radio's on, and you hear all the plays, 12 seconons before
Right.
it happens on
Yeah,
TV
right,
because
yeah.
of the delay. And, oh, touchdown to whoever. And you're like, oh, look, touchdown. Yeah, I bet they're going to get a touchdown. But my grandparents had two sons long before I ever showed up. And when I say this family is like, you'd sitcom it, it's just like the most generic, like, 4-sport athletes, Dean's List, Air Force Academy, Naval Academy,
Wow.
Just
Overachievers.
I mean, that I don't even know if you'd say it overachieving. That's just who they
Just
family
it was
was.
the expectation,
Yeah,
right?
it's just best the best. There you go. And then I missed this, but my mom was adopted, so I found out much later, towards the end of my grandpa's life, that my grandma, they had some issues they were trying for another kid, and I don't know the whole story, but I know that she couldn't. She might have lost a few,
Okay.
whatever it was that led to we're going to adopt. And then my mom was the complete opposite of the two boys. Just hell on wheels, the problem child. Just, I know that they never regretted it, but
they didn't anticipate that
they
either,
did
right?
not anticipate
Yeah.
after having those two, and I don't know, what kind of rowdiness they were, behavioral wise, but when you look at their kind of body of work on a resume, you're like, well, it must have not been that bad. And then you got my mom that was kind of the worst case scenario when you adopt a kid, if you're watching like TV shows or whatever. They're just doing everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And then I heard this from my grandpa in his last year of life, that my grandma, and I had known this to an extent, that my grandma considered me a son and not a grandchild, but he really kind of was like, hey, like, we tried for another kid, and then you came around. That was grandma's last kid that she never got. So,
Oh, that's so
she's
cool.
gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I get into the drama department. I wind up being the construction manager for the set building. I'm a tradesy kind of jack of all trades, master of none guy. So I can get something done around the house, for anything, but except for electrical. Don't ask me to do electrical.
But you can deal with a big pile of poo and
I can, yeah, I can. I'm learning now to be a father. But I got into this drama part, and then that became my, still doing Sundays and stuff with grandma up until a certain point. But that became my, oh, we got to build a set. I'm going to be at school till 8 p.m. And it got to the point where the drama teacher would just be like, hey, the doors are locked. Can you guys wrap up tonight? I mean, I don't even know if that's legal, but literally would leave like 2 or 3 of us there. Best friend at the time. We just build sets or screw around or whatever. We weren't always doing what we're supposed to be doing. But like, all right, well, I locked up. I got to get home. Go home when you're done, I guess, and shut the door behind you. And like, all right.
Okay.
But that was my people. I finally had that and I had not had that at all. I was pretty
Yeah.
kind of a loner kid. I had like one best friend growing up that, we'd ride bikes to each other's house or whatever, or go get dropped off for the weekend or whatever. But, it was like one or two people at a time throughout different periods of childhood. And then I finally had like a group of people. And I didn't actually graduate high school. Uh, I was too smart for my own good. I was in like really advanced classes in elementary school. And then like I hit a point where I was like, I can just get by. And look, in school, I was a person who I would not do a single piece of homework. I was constantly in trouble. I was getting calls home from teachers. He's not doing any of his homework. He's not doing any of his homework. Do you have homework today? No, I don't have homework. Like, your teacher called and said you haven't turned in the last 7 assignments for, whatever. Like, oh, no, I got caught up. It's fine. Like, a lot of BS in my way through. But then ace a test. If I listen to a lecture, it's in there. I will ace your test. If I could go to college and just take tests, like, here's some videos to watch or whatever, as soon as you're like, here's a homework assignment, like, I'm good. So, not good grades, scraping by. And I hit senior year, and looking back, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I really didn't like my English teacher. We kind of butted heads a lot because I wasn't doing my homework and getting my stuff in. But then I'm acing tests and I'm passing. And so we get our senior research. There's like two major things in English. There was a senior research paper, and then there was like for the whole graduation thing to graduate, you had to do a senior project and present it in front of a panel or whatever.
Yeah.
I did that the night before it was due. There were people doing this for several years.
Oh my gosh.
Like they're doing volunteer work or whatever. You did have to do some volunteer work or whatever, do a project based around your volunteer work, whatever. I actually did the volunteer work building a set for a Latter-day Saints church.
Oh, wow.
Didn't do anything with the church, but just
Right.
all the kids in drama were Latter-day Saints.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
most of them.
Okay.
It was like, somebody connect me and let me go build something for them and so I can do this. But I did the entire research project besides the volunteering the night before I had to go present it in front of this panel of community members to be able to graduate. That's how, like, not like being cocky, but like that's how smart I am. I was like, I can just
Sure. Yeah.
knock it out. Like,
Yeah.
why am I wasting my time on this when I can just do it in 6 hours before
Yeah.
it's due?
Yeah.
But then the senior research paper came up in English, and it was some topic that I didn't want to do, or a book I didn't want to do, or something like that. Now, if you gave me a paper and said, hey, go find a topic you find interesting and do it, I'm on it. I got it. But I was assigned something I didn't want to do, and I was, I'm not going to write that paper.
Yeah.
Failed English, didn't graduate high school, didn't walk. Real bummer. Grandparents very disappointed. That was not a good moment in our relationship. And then I go take an English class over summer and, hey, write about what you want to write about. Okay. They're like, this is great. You should be a writer. No, thank you. I don't like work. Let me go do some trade stuff. Let me do something with my hand. So we're up to senior year. I graduated. My parents are doing this really dumb food truck business. They kind of got conned on. A family friend was running these mobile food trucks that, you drive around like South Tacoma way and hit all the dealerships and everybody come out for lunch and get their stuff off the truck and whatever. Some people make good money on it. There were like name brand ones that had like a fleet of trucks and they had routes and everything.
Yeah.
Family friend was doing it, had made money for a long time. The economy was, this is coming out of 08.
Oh.
I graduated in 09. So like,
things are tanked.
They bought that business like 07, 09, 08, just somewhere in that window, right? And they're not business people. Like, love my mom. We have a better relationship now. Get into that. Stepdad. But like, they're not the smartest people from a business standpoint, like book smart type stuff. So they just went on his word that it was, making money hand over fist. Why are you getting rid of it? Oh, I'm just old. He was. They get it, and they just immediately money's flying out the, we're already struggling to, from my view, seeing it, we're struggling to make ends meet and pay bills and eat and everything else. And Looking back now, that may have been due to some other behaviors that were going on. But so I'm working for free for them doing this after school, filling the food trucks, making the Costco runs, doing all this, stealing a sandwich off the truck because I'm hungry. But we're going to throw it away anyway. Uh, anyway, I was like, I hit like 19. I think I stayed I stayed in the house for maybe a year. It might not even have been that long. But I was like, I'm so sick. Like, I'm not doing anything with my life.
Yeah.
Not going to school, not looking for a job. Like, I'm just living at home, hanging out with my high school girlfriend, doing the food truck thing. Like, I'm not doing anything with my life. For the last several years, we had been dealing with grandma had gotten Alzheimer's. And it wasn't too bad at first. But stuff was going, and then stuff really starts to go, and it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. And so around 19, grandma's not good. Grandpa's doing his best to take care of her. I think it would be a good idea to go live with grandpa and grandma again, see if I can help out there. Yeah. Everybody's on board. That sounds good. And I wish I had a better memory of like how that all went down. Because gun to my head, I can't remember where that conversation happened. If I talked to grandpa and grandpa talked to them, and then I got out of there.
Okay.
Like what
you can't remember the path.
I do not remember at all. But I got out of there and like everything was.
It's like you were willing to throw off what you were dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now at 19, I'm helping caretake for grandma, and that thing goes fast. Like it got bad fast, and it stayed bad. And now, and there's a lot more research on this, on like when a spouse caretakes for the other one, like they don't take care of themselves.
Right.
They deteriorate fast because they're just pouring everything into this other person. I wish we had been able to get grandpa to put her in a home, but after 50 years of marriage, he wasn't gonna.
Yeah, he's not gonna do that.
I mean, we did finally get her in a home 6-8 months before she passed, I think. But once it hit a point that like could not possibly be the sole caretaker, and I had eventually gotten a part-time job, and I was kind of going to one class at TCC, and like so I just wasn't there all the time.
Yeah.
And a couple things happened, and this weird thing happened with her, and this may happen with other people, where she would not remember him for days at a time, know who he is. She would understand that she was safe with him and that he was taking care of her. And then, you'd try to get her ready for bed and you'd have to dress her and stuff. And that would get weird if she like didn't have a good enough understanding that this was her helper or whatever. So sometimes get a little sketchy.
Okay.
But she'd always remember, maybe not exactly who I was, but for some reason, I was the safest person. So this one incident happens where I think I was in school or at work or something, and I get a call from grandpa, and he's like, grandma got out of the house and she's running around the neighborhood telling people I'm chasing her, and she finally got in this guy's house, somebody let her in, and grandpa's trying to tell him what's going on, and grandma's freaking out. And the other weird thing with Alzheimer's, like she would just revert to different ages in her life and not understand. And it's like, that's horrible to like see from the outside with a full understanding, and but there were times she'd be like 6, 7, 8 years old. Like, I'm waiting for my dad to come pick me up. And it's like, how do you talk to that person too? You can't just be like, your dad's been dead for 40 years. He's not coming. Like, And then you want to be like, hold up a mirror and be like, you're not 8. I love you, but you don't look good for 8. It's like you have to, such a hard navigation of trying to positively interact, but keep them safe because they think they can do things they can't do.
It's such a painful thing.
Yeah.
We went through it with Candy's dad, and it was so painful to watch. Because they literally hallucinate. About what's happening and what reality is, and you're trying to talk to them about what really is going on. They just can't comprehend
Yeah.
it. They can't.
Yeah. Because they're locked. I mean, she'd be locked into the 1940s.
Right. Yeah.
What's going on here?
And it's weird. They can remember sometimes things way far back.
Yeah.
But
with perfect clarity.
With
She would talk about her mom or her dad.
Yes.
And exact dad's at, the meatpacking plant. He's going to be here in an hour to pick me up. And you're like, you couldn't remember where you set your hairbrush down this morning.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyway, this incident where she got out of the house and ran away, I went to the house. I like, hey, oh, it's Chris, my grandson. Like,
wow. Just like that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, right?
And I'm like, yeah, you got it. Nailed it. Who's that? She's like, I don't know that man. He's chasing me around the neighborhood. And you're like, and you just like, you feel so much pain for him.
Right.
And you're like, just I'm just doing my best to like objectively just help as much as I can.
Yeah.
And it went that way for several years. And finally, I got into a relationship that we'll get into. And so I was not around as much as I should have been. I was pretty much living with her. So then I would go check in with them for a couple hours and maybe try to help get her in bed or whatever it was. And like, I could have been around more for that.
It's probably taken a toll on your grandpa.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So he never told you he was having a hard time with it. If you were there, you knew that he would get upset at some stuff. There's that because and he just couldn't kind of sometimes get over the, why don't you just remember that you're 70-year-old Jill and I'm your husband and I'm just trying to get you ready for bed. Why are you fighting me? And I think he did fantastic. I haven't seen that dynamic with other people. I think he did a great job. I just think he did it too long. Yeah. I think we should have got her somewhere. She could have just had a higher level.
You're always behind.
Yeah.
Candy and I moved her dad through several different processes, right, during this. And every time as we look back on it, every time you kind of moved him to here or into different situations to try to help deal with it, you're behind.
Yeah.
You're behind. You should have been out in front of it.
Yeah.
But
you just think you're handling it. You think you're going to be able to, and
right. And you're not.
Like Grandpa hoped that like the new medication would bring her back, and right. It's like at the time the medication was just to hopefully slow it. It's not like it was going to pull it back, lift a veil per se.
So you said something that I want to kind of zero in on. She was 70 at the time?
I think she passed in her 70s. We never knew Grandma's age.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she was born in the late 30s.
Okay.
That'd be even older. Honestly, I never heard her birth year ever.
Wow.
It was like when women joke about like, oh, don't talk about her age. Grandma she would go to a doctor's office and be like, we need your birthday to verify. And she's like, I'll give you my social security number. Like, I'm not going to say my birth year out loud. I legitimately, Grandpa passed in his mid 70s. I think she was a couple years older than him.
Okay.
So it would have been mid to late 70s.
And the reason I'm bringing up is that I have a friend now. He's not even 70 yet.
Yeah.
And this guy has been one of my best friends for 40 some years. And just a great, great guy. And he's got Alzheimer's horribly, and he's not even 70.
Yeah, I trained a guy for years that had it in his mid 60s, and it went fast. From 64 to 66 was like night and day. From like, oh, we're just kind of, it's starting to happen. We're just gonna try to get him physically active to like, all right, Bob, we're going to do this very simple thing. I want you to sit down, grab that, pull it down, sit down and go, now what do I do? I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. So we finally get Grandma in a home, and from the day we moved Grandma out, I never went and saw her in the home. Because I had just made a decision that I knew that was going to go downhill. I mean, that's where she was gonna die,
right.
and she was already so, like she had already lost a lot of weight and just like barely would recognize anybody. You could go have nice conversations with her, but she thinks she's just talking to somebody in the coffee shop. She doesn't kind of realize that she's at home and this is a family member.
Yeah.
And there'd be you'd see a little spark in the eye of like, oh, okay, she got it. She remembered. Yeah, and it's gone. And so I just didn't want to remember her as this deteriorating person that I was going to see in the assisted living home. And so I just made this decision and Grandpa went every day. I know for a fact he didn't miss a day for the 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 months. I don't remember exactly.
Amazing? That's amazing loyalty.
Yeah. And if it had gone on 10 years, he would have gone
Right.
would have moved himself in there. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
and, the financial burden of that and everything, like, luckily, they were responsible adults like I have not been in my life, and they were set up for that situation. But I got the call eventually that, hey, Grandma passed. We're all the family, my uncle and his kids and Grandpa and my mom were going there it was late at night, 11, 12 at night, but we're going to go and they're going to take her out and whatever, but we're all going to go meet there. So I zipped down and we'll have to rewind it at some point, but I was in a relationship at this time that winds up being a 10-year relationship that has really had quite an impact on my life.
Right.
But like tell her like, oh, Grandma passed, like, oh, sorry. It's fine. Not everybody handles grief the same or knows how to deal with that with other people. So
absolutely.
No hard feelings. And I knew at the time that she was not going to handle grief well anyway, because her dad had died several years prior to us ever meeting, and she couldn't handle that at all. Yeah. I mean, if there was a day that she could possibly link to that, it was going to be a shutdown day. Birthday, death day, Father's Day, half birthday, whatever. So I knew that wasn't going to be my support system anyway. But then you see that that's a lack of support system. But went, saw her, was definitely like, well, I made a right decision, because that is not the woman that, had totally. She didn't die from the Alzheimer's per se, and a lot of people don't necessarily die from the Alzheimer's from like a brain standpoint. She literally forgot how to eat, drink, and breathe.
Like, yes, correct.
Just
that's what they passed.
And she was already, before we even moved her out, she was at that point where it's like you'd sit her down for dinner, she'd just have food in her mouth and be like, all right, Grandma, go ahead and swallow. And she's like, oh, I don't know what you're saying.
Right.
Which is just,
yeah, it is amazing how it impacts the brain. The things are automatic for us, right? That are you don't have to think about eating, breathing, but it impacts that so dramatically that they forget how to eat.
Yeah.
They forget they have to literally breathe.
Or like can't. Like you try to, hold the straw up for water and would suck water in the mouth and then just like can't
do it.
So yeah, I mean, she literally, didn't necessarily died from the Alzheimer's, but just from wasting away to, so you see her and you're like, in my head, I'm like, all right, well, that's not the woman that, raised me and everything. And, and it's like, I didn't really have a grieving because I had already felt like I had already grieved when we moved her out. That was my, like, she's gone. And like mentally she was gone. So like the person that raised me was no longer with us anyway. So that, her death wasn't that hard on me because I had already grieved it over this year-long period or whatever.
Yeah.
But also I never really probably grieved it the way you should grieve somebody.
Yep.
And then like a couple days later that weekend, whenever Grandpa goes, hey, I'm going to go in for a small procedure. Whatever, I'll be back in the afternoon. Okay, what do you got going on? Yeah, don't worry about it. Just a little thing. I'll be back in the afternoon. All right. Well, you don't really go to the doctor. I mean, you do your, he had his routine checkups or whatever, but like, you don't have procedures or whatever. What do you got going on? Yeah, you just hound him all day long about it. And you finally, getting a valve replaced in my heart. Like, you're not going to be back this afternoon, Grandpa. In the best of worlds, you're not going to be. What are we talking about? So he never said as much, but I'm pretty sure that that was something that needed to be taken care of much longer ago.
Sure.
And that drive to care for your wife, just he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have gone before her if that was
right.
rather than
It's like that ain't gonna happen, right?
So it's like literally the week or two after, if I'm remembering this right, that's the story that's in my head that goes in for open heart surgery. Goes terribly. He's in the ICU for weeks. Then he's in, kind of the one level down from that for weeks. And then he's in a live-in rehab center for weeks, couple months. And he finally gets home. Never the man he was before. From then on, this was the burly, stocky, looked like he worked a farm for 100 years. He was a, Army, Boeing Union guy, butcher for 35 years. Wow. Just slinging half cows or like, I make fun of one of the guys dudes that like my grandpa's fingers were twice your finger,
right.
Our mechanic buddy there, just sausages for fingers, but and then he just wastes away. He's probably 240 when he was at his prime, and then he's 140, and you're like, your head's too big for your body now.
Right.
But Walker, and he lived about another year, and he did as much as he still could. Drove, which is insane. Shouldn't have let him drive, but you weren't going to get him to not do something. And looking back, I wasn't around as much as I should have been, and I answered most of his calls, but once in a while I just don't really feel like taking this call, whatever. And then when he passes, you're like, well, damn, I wish I had taken that one extra phone call. But I get the call from my uncle one late at night again, and he's like, went and checked on Grandpa, and he went probably the night before, but he went to sleep. He was just tucked into bed, and you turn over to your girlfriend who's not very supportive, and Grandpa died. That sucks. See you when you get back.
Wow.
All right. Here I go. And we found out from not his girlfriend, but there was a family friend of the two of them that got a lot more friendly with him after Grandma passed. And I'm happy he had the companionship. And I don't think there's any funny business. He wasn't really in the physical condition for funny business, but it was kind of a funny.
Yeah.
My uncle would joke about like she was just waiting for Grandma to die to get him
to show up.
But anyway, he would call her every day, and then he didn't call for a day, and so she called Joel, and that's how we found out. And the whole family shows up at the house again, and this time, last time with Grandma, we were all packed into a little room because it was just her little assisted living room. This time, we're all in the living room. We're kind of taking turns going back to the bedroom to say goodbye or whatever. And that one hit me like trying to drive through a wall of bricks. I got in there and just kneeled at the bed, cried for a long time, said some stuff to him, finally came out of the bedroom, and we had this bookcase in the hallway. Bottom shelf was all our photo albums from their first son, birth all the way to, all the grandkids and the 50th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
And pull a couple of those out from my childhood and went and sat in my little room and just flipping through photo albums for 4 hours till the coroner finally showed up. Mess. And but then I finally go home, wake up, go to work the next day on time. Don't tell anybody. Just that was the end of my grief. I'm just back at business, and that's unfortunately how I've handled those situations. There's no right way. We've gone through this with men in the group. There is no right way, and we're all going to do it a little differently.
We're all going to do it differently.
I don't think I did it the right way, even for me, but at the time, that was the way that I was going to have to do it.
Yeah, I relate about how doing it wrong, in that I felt like I dealt with it wrong as well when I lost my first wife to cancer. And like my friend group, my, well, I mean, I didn't have dudes then. I didn't have anything like that. So my 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 network was family, and everyone I knew was grieving just as much as I was, and it was painful because I felt like I had to be strong for them because of everything they're going through, and yet I later figured out that I put my grief on a shelf,
Yep.
and I paid a heavy price for it.
Yep.
And I didn't go through it right, but I didn't know. I just knew that everyone around me was just falling apart.
But at the time, we do the thing that we
Right.
need to do.
We need to do that. We
And
think, okay,
it's the detriment of ourselves.
ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. And I totally relate to that because, man, I did it wrong. And it's funny how grief just impacts people and stuff. The thing that I can't help but think about that's a cool thing about what you just shared is that, you had your grandparents just leave it to Beaver perfect. Then you had this other set of mom and stepdad parents that were very dysfunctional. And it's like you lived in both of those things, man. Like, how confusing would it be for a young person to go through that, knowing that, wow, this is super cool and this is super not cool, right? And like how that would play with your head, I would think in so many ways, not only then but later on in life, right? And and now, your grandparents are gone and stuff, and just how that would impact you in so many
Yep.
ways.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
But yes, it was. It was like, here's the exact picture of what you do want in life, and
Yeah.
out of a partner, and out of a family, and here's
Yeah.
the exact picture you don't want, and what to look for in a part. What are your red flags? And here's all the greens, and here's all the reds, and
Yeah.
all right, I should have a playbook
Yeah.
ready to go. And I did not open my playbook. So while I was with grandpa and grandma still in the house, and navigating that and getting real mature real fast, dealing with that situation, that'll grow you up quick. I meet a woman through so my first ever real job was working the midnight shift at a 24-hour gym. So I would get there at 10 p.m. I get off at 4 a.m. Terrible shift.
Horrible.
And just clean 40,000 square feet of gym and then get off at 4. And I had an awesome group of people that we had built up that would all show up at 4 a.m. and work out together. And,
Wow.
and it was really awesome. And then you go sleep all day and, whatever, try to
Go
take
do
care
it
of
all
grandma.
again.
Yeah. But I'm, 20, 21, like, had no, I had nothing. I was not ready to enter the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Just had no prospects.
Yeah.
And talk about jump back one more time.
Yeah.
In dudes, we've gone through father stuff,
Father
wounds.
Yeah.
And the one when we were going through it in dudes, I just didn't get a chance to kind of share the one line that the cut that like stuck with me. But I never respected my stepdad. I didn't care what he had to say. Like he to put it politely, he was an idiot and like thought he knew everything. And not the idiot that thinks he knows everything and can convince you he knows everything. Like you can see quite clearly he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Right.
But one day, whatever, we're loading that food truck, and I had this thought senior year. My best friend was going to go to Wyotech mechanical school. I was like, I like mechanics. The one thing that my stepdad and I could do that seemed to get along and everything was we would work on his 69 Mustang. And a lot of it was just me watching him because, he thinks he knows everything. And I like just watching him make the mistakes. But I was like, I like mechanics. I'm a blue collar type of guy. I want to put my hands on stuff and build
Yeah.
stuff and take stuff apart and whatever. And I come home one day and we're loading the truck and hey, I think I want to throw an application into this mechanic school. And I get hit with a, haha, you're too stupid to go to college. And that like cut immediately was like, all right, well, I'll shut that down and not worry about going to any sort of higher education at all and just, I guess, stay at home and fill this food truck every day.
Doesn't and it's like probably had a bigger impact on you than what even you
Yeah.
realize maybe.
But what's crazy about that is why did that one thing cut me when everything else was just a butter knife? None of what you're saying means anything to me. Like
Right.
I don't value your opinion, nothing. And that one thing made contact
Stuck.
and was just like, and I know I'm not too stupid to go to class. I'm a smart guy.
Very.
I can, if I apply to something, I can,
Mhm.
get into it. It has to challenge me. If it's not challenging, I don't want anything to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
I run a business now that's very challenging, and so I enjoy it and I excel at it.
Yeah.
But if I were just a lackey employee, then I would do the bare minimum and not, but because I'm in a position where I can be challenged and have to go, then I'm able to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's my fatherland.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm working this job. One of the older guys brings in his friend, nice gal, older than me. I'm 21, she's 29. But at the time, I was running Spartan races, Tough Mudders, obstacle course races and stuff. I'd just gotten into it, and she's into it. And she's like, "Oh, are you going to this one?" "Yeah, I'm going to that one. Let's meet up, run together." "Okay, I'll meet you and your friends and go run with you." And then, boom, we're dating right after that. And so I'm 21, have not done anything with my life, don't know my head from a hole in the wall. 29, teacher, professional, seemingly excelling in life, has a daughter, ex-husband, maybe ex-husband, not ex-husband at the time. Funny story.
Minor detail.
Minor detail. But there were red flags right away that I didn't know to recognize or I cared to ignore,
Sure.
that this was probably not a good situation to be getting into. But I was at a point in my life where I had very little self-worth. Somebody thinks something of me, thinks I'm worth enough to get into a relationship with. Neat. I'm going to latch onto that with everything I got. And so I did. That's at the point where I was like, I started to give less to my grandpa and grandma and put a lot of eggs in this basket, and I'll,
Sure.
go check in when I can there and do what I can. And, if something comes up, I'll drop everything and run over there. But, I'm definitely putting my attention over here. And the first couple of years of that relationship were fantastic. Plenty of red flags as I look back, but at the time it was fantastic and everything's great. And wow, what are the odds that just at 20 with your first like real mature girlfriend, you nailed it? The odds are not good. As we're going through this first couple of years of relationship and it's all good, and this is all post reflection stuff, I am really struggling with self-worth, confidence, lack of validation, thinking I'm worthless, not meeting expectations. I have these gender roles in my head from my grandparents that now in this relationship, I'm less than. She's the professional making the money, paying her bills, doing all that.
Yeah.
And I'm seemingly in my head just kind of tagging along for the ride and not providing anything. And so it just, all that stuff is compounding.
Sure.
Compounding. And then we hit grandpa dying, and I don't have her to fall back on for that emotional support.
Yeah.
And I end up touching base with somebody outside of the relationship that provided some emotional support on that, and it led to uh, physical infidelity, and that comes out in the relationship, and then everything implodes
Yeah.
and goes haywire. And from that point on, for the next 6, 7 years, it is just the most toxic, just not good situation. And then suddenly there's infidelity on the other side, as a, whether it's revenge or just thinking that they deserve to then get theirs or whatever. I don't want this to come out that I'm talking bad about this other person, but it fractured. My mistake led to a fracture in that relationship, to a point of, I believed that this person can now do whatever they want, whenever they want, treat me however they want, because I got it coming to me.
I deserve
I
this.
deserve whatever for the next 100 years of life, and I'm going to do everything I can to try to re-earn the love that I had from this person, because who else is going to love me? My grandparents are gone. I got no relationship with my mom. My only other family is my uncle, who I now haven't talked to, because just kind of the grandparents held the glue
Yeah.
together, per se. So for a few years, and it's all good now, families all come back together, but just kind of that glue unglues, and it's like, well, now they're, okay, I guess we'll go to his wife's families for Christmas or whatever, and don't have the same connection. But and then through that infidelity and like trying to prove your worth to that person, you start alienating friends, and cutting family off more than they already are, and isolating, and just, I'm gonna make my whole being about making this person
Your
happy.
world's getting smaller and smaller
Yep.
and smaller and smaller, generally.
Yeah. And there were a couple times we separated but didn't break up, and I'd live by myself for a little bit, and then she'd go do whatever she wanted to do, but we were still together. And so I'm trying to do my part to keep the relationship going, and there's all sorts of stuff happening. And then she had some alcohol abuse going on, and she got into a very professional role, so she was very good with her alcoholism, of not drinking during the week, but the weekends were
Full
get ready.
Wow.
We hit 5 p.m. Friday or Saturday, your night's not going to be a good one. And she had her daughter there, and I'm trying to manage keeping her separated from that. But there's also this aspect of, because I was so much younger than her and didn't have the life experience, she never allowed me any kind of parental piece of the relationship. And so from like day one, it's like, I'm her mom, her dad's over there. I'm friends with the daughter, who's 10. I think when we started dating, she was 10, because when we broke up, she was about 20, 21. So, I'm just like buddy with the daughter, not allowed to have any
parental
good conversations, parental anything. There's a lot of things in the relationship I disagreed with that now would have been red flags. But like, hey, on a fundamental character level, I don't agree with these things, and that's an issue. But anyway, just trying for like 6 or 7 years, you're just trying to manage this chaos and anxiety, and just constant on edge, and doing everything I thought I could do to try to make this person love me again. Because if she's not going to, who in the right mind would? I'm unlovable. I'm worthless. I don't. And it just, year after year after year after year. And you try to leave a couple times, but then just like you fall.
But
right
then you
back
fail
in.
at that, and it's like, oh my gosh, yeah.
And so anyway, there was a lot, and I'm very culpable in the whole situation as well. I don't want to make it a negative thing about this person, but it is what it is. And we finally hit a point in 2024, early 2024, where she starts disappearing from the house, days on end. Finally comes home. What's going on? Oh, my girlfriend's getting a divorce and needed some support. I'm like, can you text me for 3 days? Like, and this is weird, this weird stuff that nobody would put up with, but I'm putting up with it because I think that's just what I got coming to me. and she's stepping out again. Guess I'm just gonna sit in the pocket again. And then one day I just wake up and I'm like, even if I am worthless, I'm not that worthless. Like I have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
And so yeah, early 2024, I'm just like, I'm done. And we've got 2 dogs, no kids. She didn't want to have kids. I decided I didn't want to have kids because she didn't want to have kids. That's a choice. Uh, but I finally I called my best friend up. Luckily, I had like 2 guys that were still there through
Wow.
all the crap.
Wow.
And they were never judgmental. And no matter how much I pushed them out, they're still just ready. Hey, if he texts, I'm gonna text him back. If I call, we'll hang out, whatever. And yeah, I'll die being friends with those 2 guys. But I call one of them up, like, hey, here's what's going on. I need you on a Saturday or something to get my stuff out of here. And didn't know where I was going. Call my uncle up, like, hey, here's my situation. Can I pop a squat in one of your rooms? He had just moved, so my uncle had 4 kids, 2 sets of twins, and now they're all off at college or graduate school. But he had moved houses so that he could have a room for every kid if they ever wanted to come back. Whenever they want to come back, you got your room, come back. Normally everybody gets out of the house, you downsize.
Right, yeah.
He upsized. And just this, so here's the first like puzzle piece that falls in line. Like the best friend that I called, his wedding was the next week. I'm in his wedding. His bachelor party was not a bachelor party. We just went to a baseball game and went to the casino.
Yeah.
But it's that Saturday night. It's like, all right, jump in the truck, pack your stuff up, throw it in the storage unit, go have a good night. First puzzle piece. Second puzzle piece. Hey, uncle, you got a room I can kick it in for, figure this out? He's like, well, I didn't sell my old house when I moved. It's just been sitting there. I need somebody to go, help clean it up, move stuff out, whatever. Like, I can have a whole house. Okay. Short-term situation, but whatever. Okay. Boom, there's the house. Drop all the stuff at the house. Let's go out. Okay. And I'm like, I'm finally free of this relationship. And there was this period of time post relationship. That was June of 24. There's probably 60 days. I'm reconnecting with friends. I'm planning baseball games and let's go do this and let's go do that. And like life is joyous and the shackles are off and everything's great, right? And then that 60 days of honeymoon is over and I hit a wall like I've not hit before. All that like worthlessness crashes back in, and not to a point where I was considering going back to that relationship, but just like I got nothing going for me in life. I got a part-time job that I'm working 3 shifts at a day. So money's fine, but like just no prospects in life. I wasted the last 10 years. I'm not worth anything. And we tried to navigate the language in this the first time we went through this, because I don't think I was suicidal, but I certainly sat in the pocket of, boy, life would be a lot easier if I wasn't in it.
Right.
And who's going to miss me?
Yeah.
And the Narrows Bridge is 3/4 mile that way. So there was no, I don't want to paint the picture to the point of like I was suicidal and I got over it, but I hit a darkness that was like definitely leading potentially in that direction.
I know that feeling so well. I relate to it because after my wife passed, I remember going to bed at night going, okay, I know I need to be here for these kids, but if I were to die in my sleep, if you'd just take me, I would be okay with that, because you're in just so much pain.
Yeah.
Just so much pain of just what you're trying to cope with emotionally, and it feels like you're getting swamped daily, right? With just all the negative emotions that are coming at you and overwhelming you and stuff.
And all those emotions were like things I was saying about myself. Like I didn't have to grieve that relationship. I had been done for 3 months before I actually made the phone call to,
Yeah.
hey, help me pack my stuff up. Uh, and the relationship had been so bad for so long. It's a relief to get the break from it. It was
Yeah.
like all those emotions were like these things that I was putting on myself about myself. And yeah,
Yeah, it's self-condemnation, right? It's from the evil one. It's
yeah.
straight from the evil one. He's like, I got you on the ropes, and I'm gonna hammer you. And
And so where's my faith journey up to this point?
yeah,
June,
yeah,
July, let's call it August of 2024. So quick jump back to kind of my professional life
yeah,
and probably what emotionally impacted me negatively the most. Uh, Even more than like my relationship stuff. So I like I never knew what I wanted to do, and there were all these like I could do this, could do that. Wanted to join the military, but didn't do it. Like come from a family of military people, and just I it was like the one time I seriously looked at it. I didn't have my GED yet, so it was like I got to finish that up, and then I just never circled back to it. Whatever. I have some American guilt that I never did any military stuff, but that's fine. I try to serve them now in the gym community. Uh, so first job is like working that overnight shift at this crappy Globo gym thing, but it made me fall in love with fitness, and I'd never been a sports. I love watching sports, but I never couldn't hit a ball. When I did soccer, I was a fat 12-year-old,
right.
and then I got skinny after that. And then I was too small to play high school sports. There were kids in my high school doing steroids already at 16. So like, I don't want to name drop, but Richie Southern in 11th grade weightlifting, I watched this kid squat 600 pounds and was already balding, yoked out of his mind. I don't even think he
At
ever.
11.
No.
Oh,
11th grade.
11th grade.
High
Oh,
school.
okay.
High school
Still,
students.
but still,
But
11th grade. Yeah, okay.
you knew
So
this guy was.
17, so he's
You
like,
knew this guy was juiced to the gills.
right.
You don't go bald at 16 years old.
No.
But anyway, I would have died on a football field. Looking back, it was the right thing to do. Whatever. But I wasn't athletic. I didn't lift weights. I didn't do anything. And then I hit 19, and my high school sweetheart broke up with me because I was going nowhere in life, and she went on to be like a brain cancer neuroscientist, whatever, just from what I gathered on Facebook when I stalked her a few years after we broke up. Good for her. But she broke up with me, and I called my best friend at the time, like, hey man, really down in the dumps. My girlfriend broke up with me, and can we go see a movie or something? And he's like, well, I'm on my way to the gym. You want to just come with me? I'm like, I've never been to the gym. Yeah, screw it. I'll come hang out with you at least at the gym. And from that day, for the next 18 months, I didn't take a day off from the gym.
Wow.
Which I wish I knew then what I know now, because I could have made much better progress in my first several years of getting into weight training.
Sure.
Oh well. But like fell in love with fitness, lifting, exercising, that stuff. Wish I had fallen in love with nutrition then. Figured it out later on. Get that job at the gym, which started out as hey, I want to take this MMA class. I'm broke. Can I mop the MMA mats afterwards to take free classes? Yep, go ahead. All right, you mop pretty good. You can have a job. $14 an hour to clean a 40,000 square foot gym. Like, yeah, not worth it. During the first couple positive years of that previous relationship, there was a lot of support and some pushing to do something more, and don't just sit around playing Xbox, drinking Mountain Dew, and eating Skittles all day. And so I finally figured out this school for personal training, National Personal Training Institute. most personal trainers, unfortunately, it's a quick weekend seminar or some online coaching, and you get to take a
Yeah.
test, get a certificate. And so I wanted, if I was going to do it, I wanted to be educated in it. I wanted to be able to, I knew I could exercise good, but what does that translate to? And so I go to this 6 month school course program, whatever, get out of there. Like I'm trying to find a gym locally to where I'm at in the University Place area. And a buddy from the school had been done, you have to do an internship for the school. He had done his at this gym in the harbor, said it was really great, kind of a smaller deal. They did personal training and stuff. And I was like, well, let me apply there. And they called me in for an interview. And Gig Harbor 10, 11, 12 years ago, much more of a retiree, older city. It's
Right.
youngened up a little bit, but small, fairly small for owning a business, and then an older crowd. And the last question of the interview, who do you what are you going to struggle with? Who are you going to struggle with? What's going to be the thing? And I just got through 6 months of personal training school with personal trainers, and we're training each other, and we're all 20s, maybe 30s, just exercise every day, get after it. Like, how can we just beat each other up? And we're taking the class through boot camp on Fridays and flipping tires and just going nuts, right? And I had taken this part-time job right before this interview with the same old gym that I had worked at, and everybody was throwing up on their first workout, and I didn't know why. And I went through like 20 people. Everybody threw up. There's something in the air or something? No, I just don't know how to train regular people because I've been training basically athletes for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And so I get asked this question. I go, I'm not going to be super comfortable with seniors. I'll get better at it. I'd like to work with them. I'd like to, I grew up with older people. I love older people. If I could just surround myself with old people, I'm good to go. Didn't get the job because I said, I don't know how I'm going to do with older people. 90% of their clientele was older,
older people.
older people,
They're freaking
at
out
least the
thinking,
ones that were buying personal training. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, that's not going to work. All right. So I go do this other thing for a couple weeks and I get a call back. It's like, hey, we're going to take a chance. Manager doesn't like you because you don't think you can work with old people, but the owner was like, let me give you a shot and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, because that guy in that place was the best. I mean, I've had a few jobs since, whatever, worked for some different people.
God thing.
Looking back,
Yeah.
God thing.
Yeah.
Answering that and having him go, yeah, let's see. He's young, he's impressionable. Maybe we can get to. That place was amazing. And that owner, older guy, and his wife owned the gym. And I probably need to express this to him, but like at a time when I definitely needed some masculine guidance through life, unintentionally was that person kind of carrying me. And so
you need someone to believe in you, right?
Yeah. And what's funny is the guy that had interned at that gym, he was 3 months. He was 3 months behind me. So that school would go in 6 month. It was a 6 month program, but every 3 months a new class would join your class where it was at. And so the program ran every 6 months, but your block might be, you might catch that back half of this one and the front half of this one, or the front half and the back half. So he was 3 months behind, but I had missed a couple weeks for some stuff. And so I was 6 weeks behind, leaked into the other one. Anyway, I did my application, got hired. He got hired as soon as he came out. So he got a vacated management position as soon as he came out of personal training school. And I was just part-time trainer because I had gotten hired 3 weeks before he did. But we became really good friends, distanced away because of the relationship, and actually have reconnected recently. I'm hopefully gonna get back at it. But like I told you, I need to be challenged and I will run with it. It's like thing with personal training is a trainer's a trainer's trainer. The people who are, I don't want to say better, but like don't have a weekend certificate, we'll call ourselves coaches because we're going to do nutrition, we're going to do exercise, we're going to do programming, we're going to do some mental health, wellness, like
Yeah.
the whole
Big
thing.
picture.
A personal trainer is going to take you through a workout and 30 minutes later
Yeah,
they're going to
yeah.
send you home, and that's the thing. So, you know, I
That's huge difference.
really, yeah, went about it in that mindset. I was like, well, the problem is you have to be a salesperson. And I had no sales experience, nor did I care to be a salesperson. I don't want to sell you anything. Buying my first car was the worst. So I can't sell worth a damn. But if I can get you to buy the training, then we're going to have a great relationship from there and you're going to get results. I couldn't sell anything. So I make a position for myself and I present it to the owner and I go, basically, in a layman's term, it was an assistant manager. Here's what I will do for you. Please give me money. All right. Sounds good. Let's trial run it and go. A couple months later, my buddy who's running the gym goes, this isn't paying enough. He goes and becomes a sheriff. I get plugged in as manager. Like 8 months after I had started training. Guess
Now
what?
you're running.
I don't have business experience. I'm not educated in business. I'm not educated in spreadsheets or P&L statements or anything. Luckily, that owner was super involved in the gym. He was there every day and like really mentored me through that whole, for several years. 2018, September 2018. He's an older guy. He's won owner of the year a couple times. He had an old manager back in the day win manager of the year. He's done it. He's good. He's going to sell the gym. That's a real bummer. This family shows up that's interested in buying the gym. He meets with them a few times, and it all comes down to this final meeting between the three parties, myself to be included in this, which was weird at first. And it comes down to, hey, we're not going to buy this gym if you're not going to stay and run it for us. Owner one has basically said, like, you're the nuts and bolts. We want to buy this business and get involved in it, but we don't want to be the day-to-day deal. It's kind of an investment thing for us. We want to be involved, but this is an investment.
So you got to come along. You're part of the deal.
We're not signing the check if you're not going to be a part of it. This sounds like it's going to come with a pay raise,
Yeah, right.
which it did. Yeah. Everybody is always taking care of me along the way. So new family comes in, buys the gym September 2018. We do great for the next 18 months. March 2020, we're shut down.
Yeah.
Yep. And so right before we took a little pause, and I know you're going to edit this together, but I had said, all right, where's my faith journey? And it was in relation to the end of that relationship this past year. And so up to this point, through COVID till 2024, everything, you walk up to me on the street, are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? Yes. Okay, how do you practice that? What are you talking about? I haven't opened a Bible in 15 years. I haven't gone to church in 15 years. I haven't prayed. I haven't, nothing. No practice, no activity, no active anything. But if you ask me if I was a Christian who believed in God, I'd say yes. Mm-hmm. I don't think that probably gets me into heaven, but
been there, done that.
Maybe.
Thought I was in the club.
Yeah.
I'm in the club. I know about the club. I'm in the club.
But that's where I was at. So this amazing family comes in, buys the gym, keeps me on, and then takes care of me, empowers me 10x what the last owner did. And the only reason for that is that he was fully involved in the gym, so he didn't have to relinquish some reins to me.
These people,
the wife was very involved in the gym the first few years, but they had multiple kids, and so there were periods that they weren't there. And the point was, I think this was an investment property for them.
Sure.
And that if they didn't have to be a day-to-day operator of it, let's not let's put our eggs in other baskets. And
Yeah.
these two are crazy smart, just business, family, faith, boom, 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 opposite order of that, faith, family, business.
Yeah.
But like running businesses, now they got 3 or 4 businesses and they're just all over the place. And so I'm super empowered. Everything's going great. This feels like my business that I'm getting paid very well to run that I just don't own. And COVID punches us in the teeth. And so this is kind of the first like, whoa, look at these guys. And again, I have a lot of like, oh, look back at that, how that was a God thing. Obviously, nobody knew what was going on March of that year, but all those different loans came out, and here's some money, there's some money, here's some money, just take whatever you want. And as far as I know, they didn't take any of at least the first batch of money, because we didn't know what the payback or what we didn't know what it was going to be, right?
Yeah.
So their thought was, let's not risk it, let's not take any of that. But you know what? Even not knowing how long this is going to go, we're paying everybody on staff, average out their last year's salary.
Wow.
Take it like full, it wasn't like, hey, we'll pay you half and just, you're just gonna be sitting at home anyway. It was like, there you go. You're all covered. You're safe. You're good. That gets buy-in from your team to do, we try to do online training and constant social media, keep people engaged, and did as much as we could. So, I don't want to.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So, I don't want to make it about the business thing. That's just to put perspective on this family and like what
they're made of,
what they're willing to, do and put out there.
Yeah.
And, that first shutdown was 3 months. So they ate 3 months of 10 people's salaries with no income. We had some really awesome members. We being a small business, we decided to just shot an email out, said, hey, if you're willing to eat it and just stick with us and want to keep your billing on and let us get a little revenue, cool. If not, absolutely no problem at all. Basically, we're going to shut it all off. And if you say go ahead and leave it on, then we'll go in and punch it on. And we had a good chunk of people that helped get us through that.
Wow.
And then you come back and you go through COVID, and I'm not going to dig into all that. That was just a bad year.
Yeah.
We lost at least 50% of top end revenue, plus who knows, on the growth curve we were at coming out of 2019, like you don't really know what you lost, but just top end, you lose half your business. And
same thing happened in a lot of churches. They lost. It's just like people didn't come back.
Yeah, you broke your routine, and
it's over.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we go through all COVID, right? And we're isolated. We're at home. COVID on my relationship was not good. That was a particularly low time for the two of us. I had already, been isolated, not really doing activities with friends and whatnot. But when I got to go to work and see the people that I enjoyed being around and friends and stuff, that was your kind of fill your social cup. And then you go home and you get beat up, and then not literally, but
Yeah.
But like I'd get a daily refill.
Yeah.
And then you hit that, hey, stay at home, don't talk to anybody, and like everything kind of really, and that was a widespread thing. Everybody really got beat up during that time. And to make a very long story super short, I got into what essentially equates to a gambling addiction in the middle of COVID 2021. We're still dealing with that, and still just like, and it boils down to like this self-hatred, no self-worth, not getting the relationship is super ugly, just getting invalidated constantly, and just where is anywhere I can receive any validation of any kind.
Yeah.
And that was unfortunately what led to that instance of infidelity. Was I got validated when I was receiving no validation, and that just triggered something, and I stepped out of line. And so I'm trying to find some form of validation, and it was a weird sports card thing that I got into, but I received validation from it. an acknowledgement of when these transactions were going through or whatever was happening, that there was a person or a community of people that were validating something so stupid as just spending money. But the big hiccup was I was using business money for that. And that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
That's a crime.
Yeah.
So that comes out late 2020, and it had gone on for 12 or 18 months or something, and it started as a real slow trickle, and then it just kept building because it was an addiction at the time. Like, you get your dopamine hit, but now you have to do twice as much crack to get your dopamine.
Right. Right.
I never did crack, but like, and it
metaphorically.
And when it all came to light, and we sat down, and I feel bad the first second he slaps the credit card receipts on the table, and you go, how do I lie my way out of this one? I didn't know it was on PayPal. I didn't know it was your card. And then in that conversation, I go to the bathroom, I come back, I'm like, hey man, I'm BSing. I knew what I was doing. I did not know, and I legitimately had no idea the volume that I had accumulated, because you basically spreadsheet that, and it's like just a real slow trickle, and then you need that more to validate, and that thing went.
Wow.
You wish your stock portfolio looked like what I was spending. Here's your next big instance of like how God works through his family is, you obviously, that happens. I mean, you do that in the corporate world, you're going to jail.
Right.
Like, it was a dollar value that you go to jail for.
Yeah.
And they were obviously pissed. And this was at the time an upsetting thing. They were upset with themselves that they hadn't caught it and been able to help me with whatever I was going on. And then it hit this point where, like, whoa. And then through the next few weeks, couple months, like, a couple close confidants, I told what happened, and then none of those people are mad at me. And they're all like, how, you're a big dumb idiot. How can we help? What do you need? And not like a money thing, but like, what do you emotionally need? How can we help you navigate this thing that you did? And at the time, I was like getting mad at people for not being mad at, like, but it came back to that self-worthlessness of like, I should be getting beat up right now. I deserve it.
Yeah. Why aren't
Take my kneecaps out?
Yeah.
Why are you being nice?
Wow.
What the heck is wrong with you people?
Yeah. Why aren't you judging me?
And these business owners, this family, essentially was like, well, we can't have you managing the business anymore, but we don't want you to go. I want you to step down to this position, and we'll figure out this pivot. And I made the decision to leave, because honestly, like, how are you going to stay there? And like, I couldn't fathom a world where I'd stayed there and we just kind of, like, we wouldn't have pretended it didn't happen. But in my head, it was like, how do we just pretend this didn't happen and go about our day? And then how do we explain to the customers that I'm not in charge and this guy's in charge and I'm just doing this? And so I was like, I'm going to go, but let me give you 90 days and get this guy onboarded and hopefully be able to run it and whatever. January 1, 2023, ended that employment with basically an understanding that, like, I was going to figure out a way to get them paid back, figure my life out. They were going to support that. But like, anybody else, any other business owner, maybe even the first business owner, I'm not sure. He's a very strong believer. Like, probably that would have been the only other person that wouldn't have immediately gone, hello, police,
right,
FBI, we have a problem. But like, that was an easy, like, How do we handle this? Authorities gone, boom, done. Life's totally different. And they just navigated it with grace and understanding that I couldn't understand at the time. So I leave. 5 days later, I blow my back out. I'm in bed for 3 months. I take a crappy job just to get insurance, which doesn't cover any of the back stuff. Finally recover from that. Take another crappy job I'm still at because it has the most amazing benefits I've ever seen. But we fast forward to I've ended the relationship. I went through that 60-day honeymoon. Everything's great. I love life and everything's bright. The sun's shining. And now, like typical Washington seasonal depression, we've hit the fall and I have crashed out into the darkness. I don't leave the house unless I'm going to work. I get home, I climb into bed, I screw around on my phone for 2 hours, I fall asleep, I wake up before, like I'm sleeping like 12, 14 hours a day. Maybe I eat one meal a day if I'm lucky, go to work, come back, rinse and repeat 6 days a week. Football season hits. My best friend 1B, who had been seeing kind of frequently through this thing, we had been going to Seahawks games every Sunday, and that was my one like get out of the house and do something and have a social interaction, like one bright light in the week.
But basically, during the week, you were seeing nobody.
I'm not turning the light on in the bedroom.
Yeah.
The only light I'm seeing is my phone screen, and then when I go to work, and I'm working a night shift, so I'm like also like that hits your hormones, your circadian rhythm, your brain wiring,
everything.
It's night shifts are not good. We should make them illegal.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that was my only like dopamine hit at all.
Yeah.
And I was being good about it. I was going every week. It's the only thing I had to look forward to. All right, I'm not going to leave the house, but I'm going to go out for Rob. And I'm going to meet him at the High U and get some drinks and watch the game and cry about a Seahawks loss, and then I'll go home. And so one week, third weekend in November, 2024, hey, Rob, we going to Seahawks game? It's afternoon game Sunday. Oh, man, I'm out of town for work. Not gonna be in town. Well, that's a real bummer. I'm not gonna go to the bar while the game's on by myself because it's gonna be packed and people are gonna want tables and whatever. And like the thought of like sitting at even a two top by myself was like, somebody wants this table, I gotta get up. So like I'm not gonna leave the house. I'm gonna go to the gym. I had barely worked out, frankly, for the last several years, but like since I got out of the house, that was part of the 60-day honeymoon, was like I worked out every day and then I crashed out and didn't go back to the gym. I'm gonna go to the gym. I go to the gym. All right, I left the house. That's my weekly leave the house, right? You know what? I'm hungry. I don't have anything at home. I'm gonna go to the High U. It's Saturday night. There's a UFC fight on. I'm gonna illegally stream it on my phone, and I'll get a burger, and boy, I will have done so good this week. Look at me live life. And I do that. I get down to the High U, and I'm eating a burger, and I'm watching the UFC on my phone. And there's two girls sitting behind me at a different table. But every time I went up to go to the bathroom or get another beer or just like turn around, one girl's looking at me. And where I'm at emotionally with women, I will not look at them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to have a customer service interaction with a female. I don't want my bank teller to be a female. And the line that kept running through my head every single time she would look at me is, I don't want another woman to ruin my life. I don't blame this other person for ruining my life. I was very culpable in the whole situation. But that's what was just
running through your brain.
Yep. Oh, girl looked at me. Don't ruin my life. I literally, since the day we broke up to this point, hadn't talked to a woman other than, a server or something. Like, no, I don't want anything. I'll be single the rest of my life. That was 10 years worth that'll cover me for the next 60. I'm fine. And there's that compounding worthlessness and just, I'm really beating myself up. I'm about to leave the bar. I'm done. I did my good deed for the week. Got out and saw sunlight. And as I'm about to walk out the door, a buddy from the gym walks in. Oh man, what are you doing here? Rob's out of town. We'd run into him a few times at Seahawks games. Like, well, I'm gonna play some pool. You wanna hang out? All right. Well, if I don't do this, I'm not gonna have any other social interaction, so I'll stay. Right? I'm probably there another 3 hours longer than I should have been there. There all night, and this girl wouldn't stop looking at me. My buddy and his girlfriend are there, and they're like, dude, this chick keeps checking you out. I'm like, yeah, I noticed. Don't care. Do not care. Very cute girl. Don't care. And eventually, I see her talking to my friend. And then friend brings her over to the table. She's like, hey, can I sit down for a minute? All right. I'm not going to say no.
Right.
That would be rude.
Right.
But we hit it off. It was a quick 15 minutes and they were leaving. Turns out that was her sister, and her sister had just gotten her out of the house. Another, wasn't supposed to be there, but sister dragged her out of the house on a day that she normally wouldn't be there. Has 2 kids, happened to find a babysitter. I shouldn't have been there because I only go there on Sundays. Coincidence. We hit it off. Next night, talk on the phone for 5 hours. I probably talked for 15 total minutes. We were talking about that this morning in group, that, one of the partners talks a lot, one of them doesn't. I don't talk a lot. This is more words than I've spoken this week. Plan a date for the next weekend. Go out on a date Saturday. Whoa, what's going on? This person's incredible. And in a time that I don't want to even speak to a woman, this is having an impact. And I had told my buddy at the bar, don't want to talk to her because I don't want another woman to ruin my life. And also, I'm probably going to fall in love with the first woman that I seriously talk to.
Yeah.
So we meet on Sunday. We go on a date this day. I don't think it's that first Sunday, but I think the following Sunday is the first time she invites me to church. And we had a church conversation, and she had texted her on the first phone call, made it very clear how important faith was to her. And again, up to this moment in time, are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? Yes. Doing anything about it? Heck no. Couldn't be bothered to make a moment for him.
Right.
Doesn't matter. So to me, and then I also had some reservations about church in general, just church through my adult years of kind of, I didn't have a God problem. I had a church problem, but it was, big churches and stuff. And it just didn't sit well with me. And, an uneducated view on things. Yep, I'll go to church with you. I know it's important to you. At the very least, I can make an effort. And at the very least, the way my grandpa didn't like church, but he'd go to the major events and he'd go occasionally on the Sundays. But church was for grandma. Grandpa read the Bible, was faithful, prayed. You knew that grandpa believed.
Yeah.
He made it clear to you that he believed.
Right.
But he didn't have to go to church for that.
Yeah.
I have a blueprint for what this could look like because I believe, and maybe we don't believe in the same way and whatever.
Sure.
But I'll make an effort. I'll get uncomfortable and I'll go to church for you. So the Monday after our first date, we're officially dating. I think it's the next Sunday, first church day. And I think sometimes we go to church and we hear what we want to hear because we're searching for some message this week. We got something on our heart, and they're not even talking about what you got going on, but you hear what you need to hear for that week. And then sometimes it just speaks to you. Whatever that first week was, I couldn't tell you what the message was, but I just remember leaving that service what are the odds? What's the coincidence here that message was such an impactful message for me that week? And so whether it was because of the message or because I was just hearing what I was open to hearing. So that Saturday date we had, first date, we went to the gym, got dinner, hung out at Seven Seas, played Uno all night. Great date. Highly recommend it. When I invited her to go to the gym, she goes, "Oh, I know those gym owners." I go, well, that might be a problem because I haven't talked to them in quite a while. When I got out of that relationship, I moved to Gig Harbor. My buddy, my best friend, was managing the gym. Uh, Set me up with a membership, so I was working out there and stuff. But I had not retouched base with them. There were a couple text exchange over the 2 year period ish. Um, they kind of just
That had to make your gut like go in a knot.
yeah. Well, and I coming into this relationship, I knew I want to be so transparent with this next person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell them all my ugly secrets, and if they don't like it, they don't like it, and if
Yeah.
they do, cool, let's see what that turns into, right? So I knew at some point I would tell her that they do have this big hairy thing over here, and it is a situation I to this day still need to finalize taking care of. But oh, I know those gym owners. I'm good friends with them. They watch my kids sometimes, and I'm great friends with the wife and whatever. And I go to church with them. I'm like, oh, okay, good. Yeah, hey, I know them too. I used to run this business for them for 8 years, a couple years for them, but
Yeah.
and I see them at church. They go to the same church, so I see them at church that first Sunday we go. Oh, you're hanging out with Kate. I think I had sent the wife a message like, hey, you'll never guess who I'm going on a date with. And then the following week, get a note. Hey, so if you're gonna pursue this, are you gonna tell her? Because I don't want to not say anything about it. Like I'm telling her. So Katie and I have only been together like 2 weeks. Come home one night from work, like, hey, I gotta unpack some stuff. I'm gonna give you my top 3 worst things.
You need to know
you
about.
and you do what you need to do with that information. It's like, what's the third worst thing you got going on? I have a bankruptcy on my record because I'm very fiscally irresponsible, and I was trying to keep up with a professional woman, and the only thing I could think of was financially provide a level that I couldn't, and ended up having a bankruptcy. Whatever, it's already dropped off my record and survived it. Okay, no problem. I got some financial issues too. Okay, great. Number 2, I had this instance of infidelity, and here are the circumstances around it. At the end of the day, I take full responsibility for that. Here are the emotional reasons that happened, what I've done to work around that.
Yeah.
And I can make a promise to you today that that is not an option for me ever in the future, ever. I'd rather, leave a situation than do that to somebody again. All right, that's fine. Sounds good. Glad you got over that. Okay. All right, my biggest
Here we go.
whoopsie poopsie. You know that couple that you're really good friends with? I stole a lot of money from them, and they didn't do anything. Like, they were very nice about it, and obviously not happy about it, but there was another moment of like, there's no judgment here. That was a pretty big F up. Sounds like you're gonna make it right. All right, sounds good. If they're still talking to you, and they still vouch for you on mine because they had said, hey, yeah, that's heard you know him. It's all good. They're vouching for you with that on your record. Like, wow. I guess that's fine. So, coincidence, now we have this connection, right? All right. I'm all in on at least the church thing. I love the church. We go to Harbor Covenant down the road. Ended up running into a bunch of people that I had known over the years, and just like, what? Look at all these connections, right? And then this family that owns the business, like this reconnection.
Yeah.
And then it's like just small enough. It's big enough that you got a full church service, but it's small enough that you actually can get to know people, and it's not just I just like wanted nothing to do with like a mega church situation. I didn't want 1,500 people and, loudspeakers and
Yeah,
the whole
right.
9 yards, right?
Yeah.
Like it's exactly what, if you had asked me to, like, if you were to go to church, what would you like that? And then it was just like the welcoming environment, everything. So all I've got is a part-time job. Katie's got 2 kids, uh, starting school, so she's not working. I got to make some more money. What am I passionate about in life? Is coaching. Guess I'll go ask the old owners if they have a part-time personal training position open. With, obviously, I will bring some caveats to the table that you can, I we got some trust building to do. So I asked them the question. All right, we'll get back to you. And a week later, all right, you want to meet up? And I'm thinking they're just gonna meet up, grab me a coffee, and let me off easy. And hey, I don't think that's a good thing. And I had some other plans if that could happen. Hey, how's it going? Cool. Yeah, good. How's Katie? Good. Yeah, cool. You want to run the gym again? Excuse me? Literally, it was just like,
The last thing you expected.
in what reality? I stepped onto another timeline entirely. And another long story short is it's just not working out. And it does lead to an awkward situation because my best friend is running
Yeah.
the gym now and
Right.
taking it over from me. It just wasn't exactly what they wanted, didn't go exactly the way they wanted it to go. Um, but now it's like, I had already asked him, hey, what are you okay with me asking them for just a trainer job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you, get a little gauge of interest, what they think? He actually, I'd asked him, hey, did you tell him? Yeah. How'd that conversation go? I don't know, man. I don't feel like it really went that well. Like, I was already coming into this like,
thinking, yeah, this is not going to go
it's a
well.
non-starter, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And I
It's like,
completely
fine, whatever.
understood.
We'll have the
It
conversation
was
anyway,
worth
right?
a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just don't like the direction things are going, and you want to come. I mean,
Wow.
you rant. The one thing, this moral hiccup aside, I did run the hell out of the business.
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
to stroke my ego, like that's a thing I can do well, is run this business at least. I don't know if I could run another business, but I can run this one. So it did. There were some uncomfortable conversations, and I met with him and had to be very clear, like, and to them too, when they were going to let him. He's still working there. He basically stepped down to a training position, and it worked out because they just had a newborn, and everything actually kind of worked out for everybody.
Yeah.
But I had to be like, hey, you need to tell him I didn't come for his job.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And then when you tell him that, please call me so then I can call him and meet up with him and tell him, hey, I didn't come for your job.
Yeah. Right.
So I just wrote him I think a nice birthday card. It's nice for me, just expressing like, hey, your grace and understanding as we walk through some of these life things. Like, he's a God guy. That was, good for him. So this has been very long-winded. I'm back. The fallen sun has returned. I don't know how to put that, but like, what are people thinking? And like, we haven't had a conversation where he goes, no business advisor is ever going to advise you to make this move.
This is like the stupidest move you can
This is the dumbest thing we could possibly be doing.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do it. And that came with some caveats, and we toe a gray line of personal and professional boundaries.
Yeah.
But I was open to that, and I recommended
Yeah.
that. And like, we got some trust building to do. I don't expect you to give me the keys to the castle and cut me loose. Like, I had a major breach of trust with you guys that I don't even know how we're at this point now that we're at. But if we're going to do this, and so, there's some accountability things. And so we have these quarterly meetings. It's like, all right, what are you doing for personal accountability so that we're comfortable with you as a human being moving forward, running our business, having access to our books and all this. And, and then we have professional stuff, which doesn't matter. And so what did I come up with when I started? Like, well, I'm going to church and I'm kind of edging that out. So Katie and I met mid-November, dating a week later. I'm back at the gym second week of January. That's how fast this
This is like
thing
happening at
happened.
worldwide pace.
Yeah.
It's just the pace is crazy.
So
God has got a hold of you and just absolutely
yeah,
changing the direction of your
dragging me
life.
through whether I'm kicking or screaming or
Right?
not.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do for personal accountability? Well, I've been trying to get it. I'm already registered with a therapist. Just waiting for a spot to open up because I've gone through this a few times and some have gone well, some haven't. I found a guy whose profile I liked, but he's booked out for a few months, and so I'm scheduled. And I'm doing the church thing. I'm gonna see how that's going. And since I'm doing the church thing, I'll try to find a small group. And regardless of this thing, I had already made a decision to seek out some sort of small group because this faith thing was taking me. It had me by the collar, and I was like, I got to get with like-minded people. Katie had pulled me out of this darkness that I had not experienced before, and I was feeling some sunshine, and I was like, I need to put these people around me, if for nothing else, just to stay out of that hole, whether I am going to go all in on the faith thing or I'm just going to use it as a tool to be accountable to myself or whatever it's going to be. I want to get around these like-minded people
You
in this
recognized you
time.
had that need, right? That you needed that accountability, you needed that input from other guys
Yeah.
walking that journey.
And so it all lined up with this, hey, we need some personal accountability. I'm like, okay, well, I'm seeking out a men's group, right? And so now I'm going to be working a full-time job, and we'll call it a two-thirds job. So, gym 8 to 5, my other job 5 to whenever they decide to let you go, 11, 12, midnight, 1 a.m.,
Wow.
whatever. Drive an hour each way. That's fine. Uh, when the heck am I going to fit this thing in? And it's like, I'm looking through the church calendar for any group. Now, I didn't particularly want to be involved in like a Bible study group, but I was willing to do that. But just at that time right there, it was like, okay, I don't want to study thing. I just want to get in a group that's like communicating and like just a group.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go to a class
Yeah.
person, And I didn't even know what small groups look like anyway. I just had that idea. But I was also, whatever, if that's the only thing I can do, I'll do that. And there's like one thing, I think it was like 6 a.m. on Wednesdays, at least on the church calendar, is the only thing I could make. Good Lord, I don't want to do that, but it's the only thing that'll fit in the calendar. And I told these guys that that's what I was going to do. And so I got to do it for at least a period of time. And I'm sending these emails to the, contact blah, blah, blah at harvardcov.com to get info. Email, 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 nothing back. Talking to the pastor one day, or he texted me about something, just nonchalant. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I've been sending this guy a bunch of emails about this men's group on this day and time. Haven't heard anything back. Maybe it's just a mistake on the website or I'm typing it in wrong. Oh, yeah, that group doesn't exist. That guy's not even with the church. You should refresh the website,
Yeah, really.
Sir. He goes, what are you looking for when you and I'm like, man, I don't have time to do it. I'm trying to jigsaw this thing into my schedule. I don't know if there's something on a Saturday, whatever. And he's like, I'm gonna send your number to this guy, Matt, and he runs a group or does a group or whatever, and they meet on Saturdays. And I'm like, man, as of that moment, Saturday was my only free day. I could sleep in, whatever, because now we're doing church on Sundays, going to both services. We're getting up at dawn.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Saturday, I guess.
Whatever.
Whatever.
And that guy was Matt Foster.
That guy was Matt Foster, who I didn't realize had been pretty new to you guys before I was new.
Yeah. Did you know him prior to
No.
it?
I think, I mean, I'd seen him at church, but not,
church.
I don't think I'd talked to him. Yeah, Matt, 3 ways, you, me, and Jim. Here's our dude, whatever. You schedule me a time to come meet with you. I'm thinking, all right, this is 10 minutes, grab a coffee. You know, he's going to give me the agenda and what they're studying, and all right, go along your way. And 2 hours later, chatty Cathy's are, you know, oh man, our wives are not going to be happy with us. Uh, yeah, we connected just super intensely,
It was amazing.
and like our live, I would share for 5 minutes, and you'd go, that's crazy because here's my story, and you'd go for 5 minutes and go, well, that's actually crazy because listen to my next 5 minutes.
Yep.
And we just kept this thing going.
All the whole time.
It was quite a coincidence.
Yeah, total coincidence. As we like to say in dudes.
Yeah, and it was, and that meeting with you is where I really chose to give up on the coincidence thing, to be honest.
Really.
We had
I always make a joke about it.
Yeah, right? I mean, we said it 30 times
right,
a day.
Exactly.
And I had up to that moment been like, just all these things are just falling in. It's just so coincidental. It's so fate. It's so luck. It's weird. So this. It's so that. And that actually was the day that I was like, all right, I'm done with this coincidence thing. It's not possible. These things cannot possibly just happen. Like, it's too many things. It's just too many things.
100%.
Like being at the bar when I wasn't supposed to, when she wasn't supposed to, her being, I mean, the way she approached me was crazy. And the only way I would have probably talked to her, like at that moment in life. Like, and then the church, who am I seeing at church? You know, dozen people that I saw there, that family, right back into the fold at the gym. Now it's connecting with you, and like just two parallel lines running. It was like,
yep.
All right, well, we'll be there Saturday at 8. I'm like, all right, I'll be there. I don't really want, I mean, I did after meeting with you. Yes, I wanted to. It was like 8 a.m. on a Saturday when I'm getting home at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Because that was busy season too. So
right.
So I think that was February of this year.
Yeah.
Didn't miss one until my wedding.
Yeah. You were there every day. You text me, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
First time afterwards, I'm just thinking, wonder what he thinks, right? And I reached out to you, and I got back 2 words. I'm in.
I'm in, yeah.
I'm in.
And that first session too was like, you know, we kind of always intro the new guy like, hey, open kimono,
right?
Safe space. What's in here stays in here.
Yeah.
We can share whatever, and we're not. But yeah, that first session, you guys were kind of in between a lesson, because we do lessons.
Yeah.
But like so much of our time together is just walking through each other's lives. But you guys I happened to join right on kind of a week 2 of a lesson. And it was like, hey, we kind of felt like we kind of rushed out of there last week. Does anybody have anything about their father wound?
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, boy, I really came right into this one, didn't I? And a couple guys shared, and I just went, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I don't really have a lot of context to what you guys are talking about, but let me tell you about my crappy dad life. And like, bleh. But it was like that group was such a safe space, and you just knew it.
Yeah.
You just knew it. That it was like, okay, I know I can trust these guys. Let me do something that, what's the small thing I can do today? These guys can trust me. And it was overshare.
I remember you sharing, and I was just so impressed that you were just willing to step into that space, because I knew, based on our conversation, you know, for whatever reason, I can get people to talk. I don't know why.
I'm the same way. I won't actually do much talking, but if somebody comes in my office, I can get somebody to sit there for an hour
and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, we'd had this great exchange. And so I really expected you to kind of be quiet, actually, based on.
That's what I thought.
And then all of a sudden you're just sharing from the heart. So awesome. It was such a perfect share. And I was just actually blown away. I was so proud of you. I felt like a dad, like, yeah, that way, son. Good job, man. I loved it.
Which, I mean, that was certainly tough, because most weeks I have this, I think as of today, I'm still the youngest guy there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times that I'll like, it'll be a small thing. I'll think of a small thing to say. and I'll be like, these guys got 20, 30, 40, 50 years on me. They know what I'm going to say. They already know a version of this thing that I thought of or whatever. And then again, it's like such a welcomed, safe space. You're like, okay, you know what? Even if everybody already knows it, just get it.
Yeah.
And so there are weeks where you're like, maybe I won't share whatever this little nugget is. But most of the time, it's like, screw it, roll it out.
Roll it out.
Somebody, and then most of the time, somebody.
Someone engages in that thought, right? And all of a sudden you realize, oh, I was led by the Holy Spirit to say this. I was supposed to say this.
Yeah, and I've had you, I've had Matt, I've had Orlando all come up to me after sessions too when I've like said something that's not, I don't think is particularly, and that's probably my self thing still. I still have little, like I've gotten over so much of that through dudes, God, therapy, just had change of perspective in life, but like I still have moments of that little self-worth thing, little enemy in your ear.
Sure.
Like, hey man, you shut up.
Right.
But
we all deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone, man. Like I think that all the time. It's like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. But the couple times that I've like shared something that feels a little bit more impactful, somebody has come up after you and, oh man, such a silly little thing, or I like came up with some silly analogy for whatever one day, like Jesus breaking our wind as if we're running a marathon.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Track behind him, and like Matt came and was like, oh man, that really broke through to me, and I thought about these 6 things that like, so it's like I feel like I have a voice in there, and like but that's the environment that you guys have harbored over the last 18 years, whatever it is. Like that somebody can just walk in, have an opinion, have a voice, and it's a validated, meaningful thing. That if it was just a Bible study or whatever, it's like,
yeah,
you're not going to get that in that.
No.
Whatever.
No, absolutely. I want to explore. I want to explore more about dudes, but I want to explore. There's a really awesome thing that you and Katie agreed to early on about how you guys were going to deal with each other.
Talking about the big thing.
Yeah, because the thing is that I think it speaks volumes about you and her as the real character that you both have, and the love that you have for each other, and the love you have for God, and then I think God's used that in a really beautiful way.
All right, so
yeah,
so like I said, like the day after we meet and we're talking, she says, hey, this faith thing is really important to me, and it makes it very clear. So it's the day after we met, and I go, all right, well, if I'm going to pursue this, it sounds like sex is going to be off the table, because that's just what I equate that conversation
to. Right.
Hey, if we're going to date, my faith is really important to me, and that's just where my head goes, because I'm a 30 whatever guy and possibly rejoining the dating pool. And so at the time, what benefited me making that decision, because that was not a faith-based decision for me to agree to that right off the bat.
Yeah.
But because of all the kind of turmoil and stress and decade of just trauma that my body was holding, I was having some personal issues. That I was like, all right, that sounds good. That's off the table, not going to complicate anything, and I don't have to add that stressor back to my life.
So actually, that was kind of a relief for you.
It almost was a relief in the moment. All right, I don't have a problem agreeing to that.
I'm good with this.
and it came up in our first date that like, hey, this one thing is not. It's off the table.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah, and for me, and it was shocking to her. But I was like, okay, sounds good. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Like, I kind of got grilled on it. Like, what do you mean that's not like, that's a problem? What do you mean?
in this environment, in this world we live in.
Yeah, day and age, and like
Yeah.
we had both. I came out of a 10-year relationship where there was no faith of any kind, so there was no abstinence, and she, never married the father of her two sons, so that
Yeah.
obviously was not. And she only came to God within the last couple years. I think about 2 years before we met. Um, and but was in a similar path, like was raised by Christian parents, but not to the nth degree.
Well,
but
maybe I
like,
need to have Katie on the podcast.
Yeah,
Katie,
probably.
you're next. You're next.
She's got a great story too. So.
We need to talk.
The first girl on the bucket. Or no, you had the other.
Yeah, Kelly.
Yeah,
we did Kelly. Yeah.
So anyway, we had the conversation. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Not a problem at all. No worries. Without telling her why I was agreeing to it in that moment. But I was just like, yeah, I assume, literally said, like, you said faith is really important. I assume that's what this meant. Sounds good. We don't have to talk about it anymore. And then as you get into suddenly now a loving relationship, then all of a sudden that does become kind of this is a little harder than I expected it to be.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, we abstained through all the way, which I think is probably a pretty rare occurrence in modern relationships.
Yes.
Maybe not so much within the church, but
I think within the church, buddy. I think totally within the church, it's a rarity.
I think it was probably a lot harder, being that we both are not virgins. Obviously, she's got kids, and I, whatever.
Yeah.
I think maybe when you're coming out of, if you're still,
yes,
it's probably not as hard. But yeah, I mean, that was a choice we made. Stuck to it all the way through. So we got together in November. I proposed in June. We got married in July. Lined up with our pastor leaving the church, unfortunately, but it was kind of his last.
Yeah, his last thing is really last. Yeah,
marrying us. Was awesome. Had all the dudes at the wedding.
Yeah,
because I didn't have enough people on my side of the thing, and that was amazing. And then 2 days later, she's pregnant. And
it's awesome. It's so awesome. It's such a God thing.
There was some timing issues that led to that really being a God thing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have happened right then, and then some things shifted around, and here we are. Just another coincidence.
Another coincidence.
That's gonna be my kid's first name.
You're gonna be. I love that. You're gonna be a dad. You're gonna be a dad.
Which beforehand, so something that was really important in this relationship. Obviously, she's got these two boys, so she's got sole custody of. Dad's not in the picture at all.
Yeah.
And I came out of this decade-long relationship of having a child there that I wasn't allowed to be any kind of parent to, and then being with somebody who had chosen that they were not going to have any more kids, and then just agreeing to that without kind of any I'm a packer. Like anything, I will pack into a box and just keep. And then if that lid comes off, I'll put a new box on top of it.
We'll just stuff it back down.
It's kind of like the toilet paper story I told you.
Right
down. But I didn't realize until I met her with those boys how important being a dad would be to me. And she just fully gave me the reins, not from day one, but she was looking for a husband who was going to be a father to her kids. So she really was like, hey,
okay,
if we're going to do this, and I hope her grandma doesn't watch this because we never told her, but we moved in together right off the bat.
Yeah.
Since our first date, I think I'd only slept at my house 2 days.
Yeah.
Before we got married, and we didn't tell grandma that. She wouldn't have been happy, but it worked out because we still abstained. I
talked to grandma at the reception, and she was just an amazing human being to talk to.
I love Grandma M, but so Katie empowered me and allowed me to start fathering the boys, and I eased into it. I told her right away, I didn't want to move in. I didn't want to go too fast. I didn't want to whatever. I told her I would much prefer to break one heart than three hearts.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful with the kids. And then we weren't careful at all. And just got right into it. But she allowed me to move into this father role with them. So even before her, being pregnant, it was like I'm suddenly a dad of a 3-year-old,
Yeah.
which is insane.
Which
And
I
now
relate to
and
100%.
now there's another one, and I'm about
Yeah.
to be a father of 3 when I was a father of 0
0.
less than a year ago. Yeah,
That's awesome. I think that's such a awesome thing you guys did, and God honors that. I think,
real quick.
yeah, 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 and so uh, I think that aspect of your story is so amazing, and um, just it just blows me away. And you were in the midst of that when we first talked, and you shared that with me, and it's like, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, we were still honeymoon phase, and yeah, I
Yeah,
guess I told you right away that we were abstaining, and then we filmed the first podcast right before the
right
wedding,
before the wedding,
the
the
week
week
before the
of the
wedding,
wedding.
because I took half a job off that week, and that was the only free time I was gonna have.
Yeah,
Then that all felt so. It was like this
you
this
you were
this ending of the podcast changed from like the dudes got me married, which they did. Like a lot of you guys have said, the dudes have kept me married. Well, the dudes got me married.
yeah.
And then now instead of, oh, the dudes are about to get me married, like the dudes got me married and got me pregnant.
We get credit for all of it.
Yeah. No, gonna have a lot of grandpas and
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I I I'm just so proud of you. I I mean, I love you, man, so much. And first time meeting you, there was just like something about you just resonated in my heart so much, and we had shared so many kind of crazy aspects of our life that paralleled,
yeah.
like you brought up earlier. And uh, I'm I didn't I didn't navigate stuff as well as you did. I can look back in my life and go, God, I wish I would have navigated that as good as you did.
It's been a short window of having a compass for my navigation. I'll put
Well,
that. But
but the thing is that I think one of the things that's key, right, is the dudes. I didn't have a dude. I didn't have a dude group. I had no compass. Yeah, I was a believer. I was a full-on believer by this time in my life when I was taking on the same role as you were. I was marrying somebody. I was taking on kids and all this kind of stuff. And I had given my life to Christ, but I had nobody to help guide me through that process or afterwards, right? Other than the Holy Spirit lead me at times. And I look at my life where I look at what my growth curve looked like. And from the moment I came to Christ, it was steady upward, but it was not very good, to be honest with you. And finally, when dudes came into my life and I let them speak into my life, it my growth curve went up dramatically. And 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 that's why all this through all this, I've realized why we need this, right? Every Christian guy needs their group of guys to speak into their lives
yeah,
and to help them be accountable and to help them walk this walk, because it's not easy. It's hard. And I fail. I still fail, just horribly fail. And I hate that about myself. But the good part of me that doesn't fail, I feel like it's when I'm able to come to these guys and go, I'm struggling with this, or I've failed here, or this is good, right? And be vulnerable and open. And this whole idea of open kimono that Tim Eliason brought to all of us, right? It's just being open and authentic and real. That creates this. light in our lives that comes from Christ, but it wouldn't get there, I don't think, any other way, I think,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because through all the kind of dark 33 years of life, I didn't seek out any. I didn't have a group. I didn't have, any, and I like fell back on people. It's like, okay, I'll fall back on my grandparents, but I didn't share with them what was going on. They never knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a band-aid for the week, and then you go through this relationship, and it's like at most I had a couple close friends, and you share some stuff, but then you go back, and they're like, well, we better guard ourselves to what he's got going on too, so you don't, you kind of put the brakes on trying to open up to those people, and it's like same thing. Like it might curve super fast, but it was like, okay, coming back to faith and really just going all in on a faith journey. It's like that bell curve started going, and then I hit that dude's, and it was like, yoink, and we're going up and to the right.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that has now led me to, which I'm not comfortable with yet, but like reaching out to the men in my life. They're not part of something like dudes, but just like, even if it's a daily, like, hey, what do you got going on? No, I don't mean with work. Like, what do you got going on? Like, what's that? And that's what led me to the guy that we just got to hopefully join up and come, walk with us. Is like, it was as simple as like, I knew I hadn't seen this guy in the gym for what felt like a couple months. Turns out it was about a month and a half. And see him in there, like, I'm just gonna go talk to him and see what's going on. Now we had kind of made up some stories in our head that what might be going on in his life.
Right.
So I kind of just wanted the juicy details, to be honest. But I also wanted to see if he was good. And you go over and like, hey, tell me what's going on. And then he just opens up. And then it's like, it would have been so easy to just go, wow, that's a lot, man. Keep at it.
Right.
High five. Have a great lift. And that was an opportunity that was like, I need to
step into this.
And so, hey, got a group. Here's when it meets. Here's where it meets. Here's a number for you. Reach out to this guy. Now it's ball's in your court. I did my part. Yanked you over here.
Yeah.
You got to do something with it. But
yeah, and him and I met, and I felt a connection with him. I know this guy needs dudes immensely, right? I want him to be a dude. I want him to be part of this because I think he will grow exponentially.
This guy needs, and I can provide it.
And that's a God thing, because normally if someone's on that list, I'm not talking, I'm not sharing, I'm not going out of my way. Or especially,
you're certainly not going to invite them into your safe space.
Into my safe, right? Exactly. It's like, yeah, you don't get to be part of this at all.
Yeah.
And yet, you felt led, like, okay, regardless of how I feel, this guy needs this. And
bigger than me.
Yeah. Well, he is very broken.
Yeah.
Is very broken. Yeah. But we all are at some level, right? And I want to share with you. The moment I met you that first day, I was just so impressed with your willingness to be open. Like, I wanted to do this again so badly, because when we did it before, your transparency, your vulnerableness, it is absolutely breathtaking, the way that you're able to do this and share your life the way that you have. Your life is a great book, man. You talk about a book.
That's what my therapist says.
There's
so many details that like don't come out in this,
Well,
we could do a 10-part series and go through.
Well, and the thing is, I think you made a comment about this earlier, and so I want to kind of put this back in there. You made this comment about writing before that. And obviously you being expressive and being intimate with details is really good verbally. I think writing it, I think you'd even be better. I believe that, and I think that's something that you really need to pursue. Is I would encourage you just start writing for yourself, if nobody else other than for yourself. Write for yourself, because there's some really great stuff that's going to come out of that that I think that the world needs to hear. I really
We'll see
believe
how
that.
this goes, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, uh, any kind of final thoughts on dudes or anything as to, you know, what does dudes look like to you 10 years from now, maybe 20 years from now? What does that look like? Have you thought about that at
Yeah,
all?
I've already had thoughts about when you guys start croaking.
Yeah, we're croaking. We're gonna. No, that's so true, man. I mean, we've had some older guys join us and they've passed on, right? But the core
You
group,
core guys, it's gonna be.
it's
I'm
going to.
not gonna be well. I've already warned Katie.
Yeah,
I was like,
we haven't. None of us have passed away yet of the core group, but you know we've.
been doing it for 20 years. It's somebody.
Yeah, our oldest is Scott. He's 72. G's 70. I'm 67, and so and I need to get myself into the gym.
I keep working 18 hours a day. I might not. I might be the first to go. Yeah, I mean, I think if we can keep kind of the core principles that were there, to open, like we have some rules that are we don't have a rule book, but like we're not allowed to talk about sports, which is very offensive to me. But I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Uh, but like,
And I'm a sports geek. I love
but like
sports.
we honor the space and we honor the
Yeah,
time.
right.
So it's like, hey, if you want to do the sports thing, show up 10 minutes early and meet in the parking lot. And,
Yeah,
let's complain about
yeah, the
whoever,
Hawks or whatever.
Um, so like that, and we have structure, but like if we honor kind of that open kimono, golden rule, safe space in here, not out of here, and then if we can keep progressing with the outside, what do we do outside? How do we bring dudes to other people? Service work, community stuff, whatever. That would kind of, our snowball is not rolling very quickly, but it's people are thinking about it. But
And that's big on my heart, right? I mean, I'm trying to write a book, and I'm not a writer. I'm an engineer. I'm not a writer, and I need to stop saying that. I am a writer. I am writing. I'm trying to. Uh, I brought up the book today in group, and I'm struggling in a lot of ways. And I had an amazing story this week that I did not share with the dudes. I had a a a mountaintop moment that I actually called Matt Foster down in California and said, dude, I need to talk to you about this. And he prayed over me over it. And uh, uh, long story, I'm not going to go into it, but uh, I know God is urging me to do this because every Christian guy needs this.
mm-hmm.
There's not a Christian man that doesn't need this in some form. It all doesn't have to look like dudes, and it all doesn't have to, be structured how we've structured it. But the thing is that we were not intended to do this alone.
No, I swung by the gym between dudes. And
Yeah, right. You said that.
To
Yeah.
grab a snack.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the office, and I'm listening to two guys on the treadmills outside the office door, and not the two guys I would have guessed for this conversation. And they were having a faith conversation about men supporting men. and I was like trying to get here and eat a snack real quick and get out of there, and I'm gonna connect with them next week. But like I should have just walked out and been like, this is a conversation I want to be a part of. But like they're like we're finding, and they're younger, like my age guys too. Of like I think this group of people, we talked about this with some stuff with kids the other day in group, but like there's a pendulum shift, and it feels like, and again this could be biased because of the people that I put in my circle, but it feels like this my age range 20s late 20s is like swinging the other way.
Well, I think I totally agree, and I think actually I've had a conversation I'll share about that I think it's swinging not only into the 20s but into the
Yeah.
teens. I think you've got these teenagers that are finding Jesus and realize they've got parents that are lost. They don't want to live life that way. They don't want to live life based on what is my bank account and my home and my car and all that kind of stuff. That's not enough. And they want something more, right? So I played golf with this guy for the first time this week. He's a vice principal, and I'm talking to him about this, and he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "I'm just kind of blown away by the kids in high school that are finding Jesus and open about it, like it used to be."
That's the things that they're open to
Yes.
saying, yes, I believe,
Yeah.
get over it. And 30, 40, 50 year olds that are like on the fence are not going to go speak about it.
Right.
We went through this phase of like, if you don't believe what I believe, you're wrong. And, you know, I'm not putting that on any particular subject matter, but like, we went through this, felt like a decade of just, you have to believe what I believe, you have to believe what I believe. If you don't, we're going to fist fight in the parking lot.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's going to be protests and whatever. Like, and I think, yeah, this like you said, this chunk of generation, the 15 to 25, is like, you guys are dumb. Like, you guys are dumb.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah. Well, it like I've shared every week, I got a new story about my grandson that found Jesus, and he's just so inspirational to me, and I keep sharing what's going on in his life, and and you know, Jesus just revealed himself to him, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, this is real. This is the way that I'm supposed to live my life.
So you ask me what dudes looks like in 10 years. Jacob's probably leading us. You're coming down on an elevator with a walker and chipping your way in there. But no, I mean, I think if the group made it 20 years, I don't see why it can't go another 10 years. If everybody, because even like I don't know if it's unique to our group, but we got 4 to 6 people that zoom into it,
Yeah.
you know, in any given week.
Yeah.
And like, so when somebody moves, like,
You don't unplug.
they're not unplugged, they're involved, and then they're showing up anyway. Like, I thought most of these guys lived in Timbuktu, to be honest, but we got G's only 30 minutes up the road,
Right.
and then shows up to my wedding. Like, what are you doing here? Your barbecue first, but like, I thought you lived in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, like even when they're detached, they're attached. And then you got guys, we got a group chat that like, yeah, I know some of the guys aren't in there, and we need to figure out our technology
We got to
thing.
figure that out. Yep.
So in the next 10 years, we probably have a solid technology plan. But like, there's guys commenting in the group chat that I've never seen it at the group. And
Yeah.
hey, yeah, sure, I'm going to pray for whatever, we're constantly asking for prayer about various things in there. And then random people that I've never seen, actually recognize the name from the gym, but he's never been to group since I've been there. And like, they're still connected to that group of men.
Yeah.
And that group of men made such an impact that they A, haven't deleted that app, and B, we're willing to open that and go, yeah, I will pray for whoever,
Yeah.
So 10 years, the group probably gets a little younger,
I mean, for me personally, I want to write this book because I want I want to go talk to people about this. I want to go talk to churches about this.
Yeah.
I want to go start hundreds of Saturdays groups, right? It's like the whole Turning Point thing, right? It's like is taken off, and that was such a great thing, right? He's going, Charlie's going out talking to these high schools and colleges and willing to have the hard conversations with people, right? And it's like, but that's only part of it, right? Once they make that decision that that's what they want to do, it's like, okay, then how do you live that out? And it's not lived out by just going to church on Sunday. It just isn't. And
no, if I had to pick, some scenario came up and it was like, hey, we only got the capacity to do one thing. You can go to dudes on Saturday, you can go to church on Sunday. Sorry, I'm gonna be dudes.
Picking dudes same here. I'm picking dudes.
Yeah, because what am I losing? Like we're going through scripture, we're doing worship.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I'm getting prayer,
quiet time, worship, and openness.
Yeah.
We're getting training. We're getting teaching. Yeah.
Community.
Yeah. Because I think it looks a lot like what you see in Acts. When you read Acts, especially the early parts of it, about what it looks like, what the early church looks like, I kind of feel like that's kind of what it feels like, And the thing is, I think that if you ever had a problem in the middle of the night and you needed someone to show up at your doorstep,
got a couple numbers.
You got a couple numbers that you can call and go, I know I can call this guy and he will be here. And gladly, not only just like, okay, I'll show up. Like, no, like I will gladly show up.
Kick the door down.
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, awesome, man.
Sweet.
Thank you.
I think we made it 3 hours this time.
Almost.
Never talked so much in my entire life.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing.
Yeah, please, as much as you.
That
35 minutes.
Well, the thing is that I'll probably post like most of it and then do maybe chunks of it, and we'll figure out what that looks like and stuff. And
I'm not gonna watch. I'll go on and like it and comment.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch.
Oh, that was amazing.
Wow, this guy's so handsome.
Here. Dude. I love you so much.
I love you, brother. Got through 2 of them. Oh, you want to hug too?
Yeah, I like hugging. Whenever Candy and I hug, she just like does this. She'll like, I was like, oh,